Welcome. This is Her America. I'm your host, Chaida. If you're listening to this episode and it is March 20th, it is my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Every year I do an episode and post it on my birthday strategically because I want to be able to share personal things that are going on in my life. And this year I'm going to be sharing why I feel politically homeless. Back in high school, I used to identify as a progressive. I was all about Black Lives Matter, feminism, and I used to be a part of a group called Young Scholars, or I forgot what the name of the group. It was something that has to do with the education system. And basically our group was to hopefully start petitions and find ways to help better the education system, for especially in public schools, because there are a lot of issues. As you know, if you have listened to my podcast, you know I talk a lot about the problems in the public school system. At that time in my life, when I was in high school, I identify as a progressive, and I actually, when I was able to, I registered as a Democrat. I was living with my aunt and uncle at that time, and they were openly conservative. They voted Republican, and I thought it would be a dig at them if I registered as a Democrat. I remember having a conversation with my uncle, and he was really disappointed in the fact that I decided to register as a Democrat. It wasn't until summer of 2020, when the world was shut down and we were living in a pandemic state, I opened my eyes to the world. It started out like this. My uncle shoot me a video by Candace Owens, and this was the first time I've actually got to know Candace Owens. I got to learn of her because I never heard of her name ever until my uncle showed me this video. And it's a video that she did that went super viral at the time. And she did it was about George Floyd and why Black people fall for the Democratic plantation. And when he sent me this video, I listened to it. I tried to be all open ears about it, because at that time, if the world felt chaotic, everybody was just trying to throw darts at each other, try to come at each other with pitchforks. There were riots, there were different marches, and it just felt so much drama just surrounding his death. Rest in peace to George Floyd. And so I really took a step back and I listened to the video, and boy, did it open my mind. I started watching her videos, and then I was led to PragerU because Candace Owens at the time was a contributor to PragerU. And so I watched a lot of her videos on PragerU, and then it was to Charlie Kirk. So I basically went into this tunnel of this conservatism, and I was this basically I have taken the red pill at that moment. I didn't identify as a conservative. I more likely identify as a libertarian. I used to have this limited series on my Instagram channel, or my Instagram, called ThisisHerAmerica, and I vocalized how I was a libertarian with a touch of conservative ideas. I was sharing a lot about the problems in the education system and policing in America, and why defunding the police is terrible. And now, at the age of 24, because it is my birthday, I identify as a Christian conservative. So I went from being a progressive and a liberal in my later teen years to becoming a Christian conservative at 23 and now 24. That is a whole journey in itself. And I used to identify as a Republican, but I don't anymore. I think both the Democratic and the Republican Party have done a great disservice to the American people over the past couple of years. I just find it very hard to associate with a lot of the politics that goes on in the Republican Party. And I just stay away from the Democratic Party altogether. So when it comes to the two-party system, I think in my lifetime, I think Gen Z will be the generation to break the two-party system, because even we see how detrimental it has gotten and how we cannot operate anymore on a two-party system. A lot of people just don't identify as a Democratic or Republican. We're just individuals. We're individual thinkers. And that's what I like to call myself. I'm just an individual thinker. I look at policies. I look at the problems that are going on in our society, and I think very critically, what are the best ways to resolve these issues? And I think most people operate like that on a day-to-day basis. As a Christian conservative, what are some of my biggest stances as far as politics? Well, I'm all about free speech, the right to bear arms. School choice is a very passionate issue of mine. So I think I see a lot of issues with the public school system, and I think we can curb a lot of society ills if we reform the education system and created learning environments that is tailored to each child's needs instead of a one-size-fits-all model that doesn't really help anybody or most kids, for instance. I am very pro-life. I also think we need to implicate term limits, especially in Congress. And also, I think we should insert term limits everywhere, like not just Congress, but also local and state governments when it comes to our city council and our state delegates and senators. You'd be surprised how many people are in office that have been in office for decades, not just in Congress, but also local and state levels. It's just crazy to me how people can vote for the same politicians over and over again, and then be surprised by all the issues that goes on in their community or city or state that they live in. So I'm all about term limits, and right next to term limits, I want to decrease the scope of the government. Meaning that I always chant on Instagram how big gov sucks, and I want to see the scope of the government and how it basically controls our daily life. I want to see the scope of the government shrink. I want people to have more individual choices, or more independent choice. That's a probably better way to phrase it. I want people to have a more independent choice on what to do and how to resolve things. So what have I learned on this journey? Am I politically homeless? Yes, I would like to say that I am politically homeless. I don't associate with the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I don't take, I used to take so much security in being part of a party and being part of that realm. And I don't know why. I just felt that if I wasn't right or left, or progressive or conservative or Democratic or Republican, then I'm just lost. And who's going to listen to me? How I'm supposed to influence change or be part of change if I'm not associated with either party? And I think about that. I think that's so crazy. That is so crazy to myself. I do not need to be a part of a particular party to implicate change or be an influence. Matter of fact, I think I'm making a much better influence being outside of the realm of a political party than I am being in. And one of the things I've learned over the years is be a critical thinker. Just because you hear something or that one party is saying versus another party doesn't mean that you have to take that what that party is saying by verbatim. You need to be an individual. You need to be a critical thinker and always be questioning. Question everyone, especially the people who you agree with politically, ideologically, socially. Be politically homeless. And that's my advice to you today on my birthday, is be more politically homeless. I think we can solve so much issues if people stop trying to come at each other with pitchforks because they are on opposite sides of the political aisle, and come together and have conversations and don't see each other as enemies, or this person is this because they're a Republican, or that person is so dumb because they're Democrat. We need to be a much more politically homeless society. We need to be a society where we can have free and open conversation about the thoughts we have on various different issues, politically, socially, culturally, and so on. Thank you for listening. This has been Her America.